So one thing we learned from the leaks of Pokemon Legends Arceus is that the possibility of there being brand new Pokemon introduced into these games is highly possible. The reason for this is something I made very clear during one of my streams, but these games are the perfect way for Game Freak and the Pokemon Company to introduce brand new Pokemon into the franchise without having any reason to bring these Pokemon back in the future. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, Pokemon, as y'all may have noticed, is getting, pretty large in terms of its roster of available Pokemon, and as such, this means that soon we will surpass the dreaded 1,000 Pokemon in total, which will be a crazy amount, and what this leads to is an increased amount of difficulty remembering each of them, and also difficulty including all of them in the video games going forward. Like if we want to have a national deck, so it only makes sense that they would want to slow down the amount of them we can get our hands on. Right? Well, how do they do this, but also still allow themselves to create new creatures to promote and give to us? Like, how can they do both these things at the same time? Well, by making them extinct. Yeah, might sound weird, but having them in the Pokemon Legends Arceus game, they can make the argument that we won't ever see these Pokemon again as their species disappeared ages ago, hence why they haven't been seen in any sort of future Sinnoh and other region type of games. And they could even make the argument to bring some of these Pokemon back in future generations using the argument of, oh, someone brought a few of this species with them to this new region back in the ancient times. This is like the perfect way for them to introduce brand new Pokemon, but not to be held to the normal standard of having to include them in Pokemon Home and other Pokemon games, but rather having them as a sort of, almost a side thing, right? So if this is what if this is what I'm thinking, and now the question really is then, what kind of Pokemon should we expect to see, right? Well, there are quite a few options, so, let's be honest, there are quite a few that I've put together here. Since the Sinnoh region is based on Hokkaido, we can easily figure out some of the animals that, live within Hokkaido in our real world that would make sense to show up in Old Sinnoh. So we'll go through some of those options and those possibilities there. Another possibility outside of a brand new Pokemon is also lost evolutions. This is a topic I will cover in a future video about the possible lost evolutions we could see in Pokemon Legends Arceus, so make sure to subscribe for that and also leave a comment down below telling me some of the Pokemon that you do think should have lost evolutions be introduced in Legends Arceus. Either way, let's just now jump into and talk about the Pokemon that would be brand new and based on animals from Hokkaido. So the first and most obvious one has to be the Sika deer, which is a common deer for Hokkaido and also Japan in general. Now these guys roam in the mountains and lowlands, and as mentioned, they're pretty common across really all of Japan in general sense of the word. However, a subspecies of the Sika deer, which is fairly larger in size and with much larger antlers, are indigenous to Hokkaido, which in itself is the most northern part of Japan and also the most cold part of Japan and also technically an island. So it only makes sense that this would be a brand new Pokemon in the Pokemon Legends Arceus game. Of course, we have a design here on the screen that actually gets like this idea across perfectly. Having it be an ice type also makes sense with the cold nature and environment that they have to stay within and survive within. And also maybe this cold nature eventually got the best of them. Maybe the introduction of other species of Pokemon to the region caused basically this whole region to get rid of the, the deers. The deers just got killed out, so that's a possibility. But yeah, for real, this is definitely the most logical option since we also saw some sort of large deer in the leaked images from Pokemon Legends Arceus from when the games were leaked, and shown off a few days ago. So yeah, a Sika deer is definitely the number one possibility, on this list, I would say, the most likely one. But yeah, also, it doesn't need to be a brand new Pokemon, perhaps, as some have suggested it could just be like a form of Sawsbuck or something like that instead, like a larger version of it, or like a version of Sawsbuck that was like an ancient version of it that was much, much larger in size, or like a subspecies of it, which is another possibility. Like a subspecies of certain Pokemon would be a pretty cool thing in my honest opinion. The red-crowned crane has got to be next. This is one of the most truly elegant birds that I've ever seen, and they often show up in Japanese literature for their beauty and excellence. Like, they just look really majestic. Now, majestic. These guys actually live in Hokkaido all year round and are really a sight to behold with their red heads, essentially, or the crowns on their heads, right? So having one of these guys there would also be an amazing thing to see in Pokemon Legends Arceus, like in the old Sinnoh. On top of that, we haven't really seen many crane Pokemon in general when you think about it, so having one right now would, in my humble opinion, be a great thing as a good addition to the franchise and just to the games. So personally, I do think a red crown crane would make a lot of sense, and I'm still surprised we haven't got one so far, so definitely a must-have. Then we have some more of the common animals of Hokkaido, and it's got to be the brown bear. Now, we do already have a big old brown bear Pokemon, which of course is Ursaring, but I wouldn't mind another brown bear Pokemon, or even if possible, a new form of Ursaring that specifically existed in the Sinnoh region at some point in the past. Now, of course, brown bears pretty common across the whole world, but it would be cool to see another bear or Ursaring with a brand new form, as it is one of those Pokemon that never gets enough attention and love, so why not give it some love? The next has got to be the Ezomonga. This thing, I mean, I really have to be honest, we do have a lot of Pokemon very similar to it, but I mean, come on, it is beyond adorable and deserves to get a straight up Pokemon based on it in the Sinnoh of the past. Now, the Ezomongas themselves are really just a subspecies of other widespread animals, so yeah, it does look like really similar to other creatures, to be fair, within Pokemon, but I'm gonna be honest, I want one of these and I want it to look just like this in the game, so that's just me, but I don't know about you guys. Also, these guys would make total sense to have, considering they would just be roaming in the trees, in the forests around here, you know, in this, like, old Sinnoh. Like, just imagine looking around the trees and you just see this adorable creature running around. It just makes sense to me. And another adorable creature is the Shima Inaga, which is an adorable little white bird that lives in Hokkaido. This thing is beyond cute. I mean, seriously, how can something like this cute even exist? It just looks so adorable, I can't stand it. It is too cute. It is actually cuteness overall, I will be honest. I've just used a cute word too many times, haven't I? But yeah, seriously, this bird is just adorable. Also, it fits well in with the environment. Now, we haven't seen too many cold areas or too many mountainous areas within the trailers. We've only really seen the lush, like, you know, fields, so to say. Like, that's mostly what we've seen of the Sinnoh region. But I'm assuming there's going to be colder and, like, you know, more northern areas within the map with far more, like, cold areas and snow and all that in them. It just makes sense. I mean, it's Sinnoh, and it can't really be Sinnoh without snow. And again, it is based on Hokkaido, which is a cold place with loads of snow, so it just makes sense, and I think this little bird should be somewhere up there, also just sticking around in the trees. This one's pretty obvious, but the Ezonaki Usagi, or the Hokkaido crying rabbit, is a local subspecies of the northern pika, and it's a cute little creature that just makes sense to have a form for. I mean, it's just a, like, essentially it's a subspecies of the pika, which, I mean, sounds literally like Pikachu, and, well, Pikachu technically is, what, like a rat, rabbit, mouse, something like that, along those lines. It's a mouse Pokemon, whatever. But it kind of does look like these things, and honestly, I'm gonna be fair with you all, this crying rabbit looks a little bit like a mixture of, like, taking a mouse, rat, and, like, a rabbit and mixing them all together. So why not maybe have a possible, like, Pikachu form that's unique to this region that used to exist, but maybe got eaten by all the other animals or the other Pokemon of the region? Something like that would make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, those are some of the animals, only some, really, that would fit really well as Pokemon in the Sinnoh pre-makes, or if you want to call them Pokemon Legends Arceus, right? There is also other Hokkaido animals like Hokkaido red foxes, Hokkaido owls, and loads more that we can talk about in a future video as well. But yeah, that is all. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out our Legends shirts, which are on the screen right now, and link in the description.